one of you. Genny, over the last 23 years, Genny Williams has helped thousands of real estate agents across the country make sense of the real estate industry and put marketing plans in place to produce six-figure incomes and beyond. As CEO of Get a Real Estate Life marketing and training services, Genny has personally coached many of the top producers in Birmingham, Alabama area, and her book, Build a Six-Figure Real Estate Business, has helped both rookie and veteran agents achieve consistent success. In 2019, Genny went back into full-time sales for the first time in over a decade, producing over $10 million and becoming the #2 agent with her company, eXp Realty, in the state of Alabama. This effort earned Genny the coveted Icon Agent Award at eXp Realty. She accomplished this feat by using the same foundational principles she will be teaching today, so sit back, strap in, and get ready to take notes. Genny, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you, and we'll turn the time over to you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here, and everybody, I'm grateful that you tuned in. I talk fast. I might be from the South, but I'm a fast talker, and my whole thing is meat and potatoes. If I take your time, you better leave with a whole bunch of stuff that you can implement and make a difference in your business immediately. So definitely take notes. We do have slides, and I'm also going to give you some different web addresses to go to make sure that you've got really good materials and that you leave here with a ton of meat. Like he said, I'm so excited for him to have his 1-year anniversary because this company is life-changing. I'm so excited to be here. I'm not even on my second year yet, and it has been amazing for me. I hit the Icon Award, and I was scared to death, y'all, to go back into sales because I've been helping other people's businesses and telling them how to run their business and creating strategies for them. What if I couldn't do it myself again to start back over? So had a lot of fear when I jumped back in sales back in January, and now I can say, okay, got my confidence back in sales because I just followed what I have taught everyone else, and I'm going to give you those basics here today. Everyone who joins gets their license and comes into real estate, and I know this because I used to be a team leader at a company, and I recruited 130 some odd agents in less than 3 years, and every single person says the minimum is 6 figures. You don't want to get a license if you don't make at least that. So let's talk about, how do we do that? Where do we even start? It's so overwhelming. You get so many phone calls like, buy this, do this, you have to have this, and, you're going to be out of money in no time and haven't had a sale. So let's, go on to really figure out what's it going to take. So I like to go down to the bare minimum at $150,000 commission. And y'all, for many years, I sold $70,000 average houses, and I sold over 60 houses a year doing that. That will wear you out. So here's one tip for you. Start at a higher price range, because once you get used to a lower price range, it's hard for your mindset and mentality to say that you're worth working in a higher market. So if you can, step out into that higher market first. But I also put reality on here. You're gonna, if you do at least 30 sides, transactions, or 30 families helped, then that's gonna get you to that at $150,000. That's gonna get you to a net of $100,000, because that's going to allow you to pay your cap and have some marketing expenses as well. And we always like to go off net figures because this business can be expensive and you can outspend your income very quickly. So once you know this, okay, that the goal is I've got to do at least 30. Then put that everywhere. You need that in front of you on a whiteboard, in visuals. You need it, put it on your phone cover. You know, my mission is to help 30 people this year, 30 families. Put it on Post-it notes on the rear view mirror of your car. Put it everywhere so that you can be reminded of what that mission is, because when you see it constantly, then you're going to know what it is that you need to do. And that driving motivational force actually will help bring people to you. Brian Tracy says, write this down 10 times a day on an index card. And guess what? After 23 years, I still do that every day. I write down, I am an icon. This is how many people I'm going to help this year, because it's so important. Everything in this business starts with what's up here. And I know you've heard that from a ton of people, but I can tell you it is the truth. So you got to be feeding your mind with some really good stuff, and know first that 30 transactions your first year is possible. I've seen so many people do it, and 6 figures your first year is absolutely possible. So now that we've got that out of the way, we know how to keep that in front of us, keep being motivated with that. Let me tell you some of the drawbacks, okay? You're going to get discouraged. You're going to want to quit. Whenever I first joined, my dad is a real estate broker. And of course, growing up, I was like, I will never do that job. Because he's so, old school. He would leave in the middle of dinner and not be back till way late. He'd sell our house because I have one more house to sell you. So we moved like 11 times in 10 years. I was never, ever going to do that job. And when I finally decided I was going to do it, one of my dad's friends came to see me and he said, look, you're going to want to quit at least 11 times. And the reason not 12 is because you're excited that first month, because you think that you're going to be able to do so well and it's going to be so easy. And then after your first month in, you're going to probably get upset, say you're quitting, probably shed some tears and say, forget it, this is too hard, I'm going to do something else. Check that off your list, okay? Check those off. That's the 3rd time I wanted to quit. That's the 4th time I wanted to quit. There is a saying that I've always said in this business, and he who hangs on the longest lasts, just like this on a branch, because it takes a lot of thick skin. Even right now, I mean, our buyers and sellers are extremely emotional, and way more so than they were last year. And, me personally, with people backing out and being anxious and multiple offers, we're having to sell things 2 and 3 times. It can be discouraging. I want you to look past all that and let your goals push you through that and say, hey, I'm headed somewhere, and I'm on this countdown to hit this goal, so that it's stronger than all the things that are going to be thrown at you. All right, so let's keep going. All right, we talked about all your whiteboards and Post-it notes. You've got that down. All right, so now you got to figure out, who do you want to serve? Okay, you know how many people you need to serve. Who do you want to serve? And when you're new, a lot of times you're like, I'll go anywhere. I'll help anybody. I don't care what market's it in. And I want to challenge you actually to be extremely specific on this. Some people are very heart-led. They're like, I only want to help credit repair people, or I only want to help people get off Section 8, or you know what, if I could just work luxury and only have my sign in luxury. I want you to be very specific, because again, this is going to narrow your focus. When you're brand new, you usually have no focus. You're all over the place and you can be overwhelmed every single day, and that will stall your progress. So when you are specific, and I'll tell you, like mine is, I only want to serve. That doesn't mean this is the only business I will take or agree to. But my goal is, and my target market is, I only want to serve home sellers in certain areas of my city, certain neighborhoods, at a minimum of $300,000 price range. Okay, so now I'm very clear. I know that when a lead comes in that doesn't match that, I can say, do I really want it? Does it match mine? Do I need it right now? I've capped and I'm on my way back to Icon. I might take something that doesn't fit that mold right now so that I can get that Icon award. So we have our reasons, but when you're specific about who you want to serve, then those people are going to show up in your life. Other people will know it. You can start becoming the expert in that, whatever it is. If it's only home buyers, I can share this with you. I did the same thing too when I was new. I felt like I could only work with home buyers because I didn't know enough to take listings, or I wasn't experienced enough, or I didn't have anything to offer for listings. Let me just encourage you to have the confidence to put listings first on your agenda, because again, once you get in habits and you're 2-3 years down the road, you start building such a fear for change in your business, and you're probably frustrated. I was selling over 60 houses a year when I was new, and most of them were buyers, and I was slap worn out. With sellers, you can just leverage your time, and everything you need to know is in your MLS system. All the data, everything you need to know. If you're an EXP agent, you can do your presentations in the marketing center. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. But you can have everything you need to walk in confidently through your MLS system, knowing your market. So I challenge you to put that on your list to say, no, I'm going to be a fantastic listing agent in this neighborhood, this area, this zip code, this city, etc., so that you can really start building your confidence and your marketing around there. Plus, okay, once you know who you want to serve, then you can choose who your leads, what lead sources you need to use, because you're going to need at least 3 lead sources. Don't get any more than 3 if you're brand new. Okay, stick with 3. What's the first one going to always be? You're going to hear it over and over every single class you go to, and this is the one thing that nobody ever does. Even though the main thing you hear over and over and over and over. And it's funny, you'll get into year 5 and go, oh my God, I really should have listened. So let's save those years of struggle, right? Let's get it right down first. The number one, the first lead source you're going to need is a sphere of influence. And in order to have 30 closings per year and to hit that 6-figure goal, you're going to need 150 people in your sphere of influence. And you're going to need their name, their address, their cell number, their email. You're going to need all this information, because if communicated effectively, and just think about how much you have to communicate being brand new that first year. They have to know who you are and what you offer. And they have to feel a sense of trust to you in order to feel comfortable referring you. And that makes perfect sense. So how do you do that? You browbeat people with positive messages. And we're going to talk more about that. But no, 150 people in your sphere of influence. So how do you find all of this? Okay, Michael Mayer, who wrote 7 Levels of Communication, is a fantastic book. Put it on your list. It is a must read, and you will love to read this. It's not a dry business book. It's a story. It's a story of a struggling agent who turned his business around on referrals. Most of my business comes from referrals, and now I have different lead sources, but most of my business comes from referrals, because that's going to be your sure business, the people who trust you and have confidence in you. So I prefer answering the phone than I do making those calls, but you're going to have to do both on your first year, maybe your first 2 years. So hang on just a second. All right, once I get going. Is everybody learning stuff? Are we good? Okay, I know people are muted, but
yes.
Okay, good, Caroline. So, all right, now that you've got your sphere of influence and you know it's 150 people, and you can't just do one announcement and nothing else. Okay. Now, the very first sale I ever got was I did a postcard, black and white postcard, out to all of my sphere of influence, and I used I was 25 years old. Okay. So I could still use my parents' friends. I just talked about how, hey, I just got in the business. I'm super excited. I was in casino marketing, and I learned how to fill the casino with people, and I'm going to be able to learn how to fill people in your houses. Well, one of my mom's best friends from high school said, my dad's house is vacant. He passed away, and I want to be your very first sale. So the next step here is, don't be afraid to tell people that you're brand new. Don't be afraid, because people love that enthusiasm. They're going to hire enthusiasm over expertise all day long. Nobody likes a know-it-all, and everybody loves good energy. So you can be enthusiastic and exciting and know very little, and people are still going to want to do business with you. So say, hey, who wants to be my first person? Put that out on social media. I'm here to help. I've got all the time in the world, and 100% of my energy is going to be just for you and getting this household. So I want to make sure that you understand that you don't have to cover it up. You don't have to feel embarrassed that you're new, because people will probably choose you just for that reason. Or you might lose some business because of it. Yes, you probably could, but who cares? You're just on to the next one, right? So depending on what your target is, like we talked about, then you can choose your other 2 lead sources to start with. If you need business today and money today in your pocket, then you better get some first-time home buyers. Okay. I don't want you to get into the habit of totally focusing on that and not focusing on the listings, but we're in reality. And if you're anxious about putting money because maybe you walked away from a job, or maybe you're trying to quit a full-time job and transition into real estate full-time, then, money's an issue. Money is going to be an issue. Let's not pretend that it's not. We could say we love people all day long, but we can love people and be broke and have to find something else to do. So I like what Branko said, is that what Paul was a tent maker for a reason. So your other lead sources, if you want sellers, then some of your best lead sources, of course, are going to be your referrals. We already had that. Your second one is going to be direct mail. And yes, it does still work. Some of these programs like bold leads or offers or things like that promise a lot of seller leads, save your money. Okay, they're expensive. You don't need to spend money on stuff like that yet. Direct mail is expensive, but it actually works better than those programs. It's just going to take longer to do that. It takes at least 8 times for people to connect you with real estate before they even start remembering you. So if you're sending out postcards and you're sending out direct mail for 8 months, like once a month, you're not going to see any return on that for 8 months minimum. So what if you speed it up and you spend all that money on the front end and you do it for 8 weeks? Plus, you can get vendor partners to partner with you to cut down some of that cost. That is an excellent way to go after sellers. Okay, the other way to go after sellers is just face-to-face meeting small business people and expanding that network, because once you meet the people in the community that are running the community, you have large sphere of influences themselves. Like if you go into a hair salon, the lady there is going to know everybody around a few blocks, right? You need to take care of her, bring her breakfast, love on her, make sure she knows you're in real estate. Visit small businesses as much as you can and take something with you. So that you're building a reputation. Do videos with them. Show them that you're an expert, and highlight them so you are always giving and promoting your community to them. Great way to stand out. That's a great way to start attracting listings. Okay, I've got a whole list of seller lead sources and a whole list of buyer lead sources. I've got some that cost no money and some that cost a ton of money. Your job is to say, okay, who do I want to serve and how am I going to reach them? Which ones do I need to implement into my business? So that way you can start getting a plan and go on to the next step. Okay, so here's some here that Zach put together for me, and Zach is my marketing manager. Sphere of influence, social media, for sale by owners and expireds. Find your own way with these things. All the business that I've got 6 closings this month, and One of them is an expired that I called last year, sold one of his houses last year, just sold one of his houses this year, and he's buying another one. So 2 of those this month came from him, me just calling expireds last year. And guess what? After him, I never called another one, because why do we do that? When we find what works, we usually stop it. So it really does work if you can get through the expireds and build a relationship there. And it's like sellers saying, hey, I'm devastated because it didn't work and I still need to sell my house. Very good leads. Yes, a ton of people are going after them, but it's a great way for you to also get at least the experience of having the conversations and getting in front of these people as well. So, all right. Now what we want to do is say, how are we going to translate those lead sources into the most important thing in all of hitting 6 figures? And that is going to be the completed number of new client appointments per week. This is the most important thing, period, of your business. Completed new client appointments per week. If you are fantastic at converting leads, then you only need to do 3 per week. And you don't need to win all 3. You just need to have 3 new client appointments per week. Let's define what that means, okay? And again, I know that I talk fast and I don't breathe much, so I'm gonna let you take it all in for a second. All right, a new client appointment is not a Zillow lead that asks you to meet at a new house, okay? And that is a prospect, but that is not a client appointment. That is, and I have a term that, you know, those kind of leads see us as tour guides with keys and with 0 value. We are a necessary inconvenience in their world. Those kind of leads feel like that about us until they can see our value. And the only way people can see our value and know what we do is having a presentation done, a consultation. So it's going to be a buyer presentation. After you show, let's say that's a Zillow lead, you meet somebody at a house and you decide to go and you tell them up front that we're going to see this house and then have a consultation, or you do it backwards. We're going to have a consultation and then see the house. That is a new client appointment. After that consultation is completed, you can check that off, 1 for the week. Okay. And again, you don't have to get anything signed. You don't have to win the business. You just have to go on that many. Why? Because all the numbers will add up in your favor. And this also, if you go for 4 per week, will also not only hit your 6 figures, but you can take 4 weeks off per year because you probably got your license so that you could have a little bit of flexibility. And then you discover there is none in real estate, and that's a whole nother class. So when you go and hit, you know, that's your main goal. What's your job description? Complete 4 new client appointments per week. That's all I have to do, baby. Ha ha. Your daily activities every single day is going to be whatever it takes to get you an appointment. And that's your job description. A listing appointment is a new client appointment. Now, here's a great question. Well, I just went on 2 new client appointments because that seller is also going to buy from me. You can't count that yet. And more than likely, you probably didn't do 2 different presentations anyway. So, and the reason I don't want you to count that in your figures yet is because I want you to win. I want you to win. I don't want you to have shortcuts. I don't want you to be devastated at the end of the year and say, well, I did 4, okay? No, I want you to be in total reality and not kid yourself here. If you are at the listing appointment and you get the listing signed and they say, yes, they're going to buy something, they can't buy until they sell, probably. So count that after they have a contract on there, and you still have to get your buyer agency agreement signed with them as well. Too many times you're going to get your heart broken because they thought you were only going to sell their house, and they've been out, you know, calling Zillow all day long, and they end up buying from something else. So just little heart things to learn. Don't get your heart broken by things that you can fix up front. So get your buyer agency signed, tell them how that works at the listing table. All right, are we good, or am I overwhelming the crap out of you? Okay.
We're good.
Okay. Hey, Sabrina. All right. You know I'm on a roll, girl. I just got to keep going. Keep going. Okay. And
Doing
so
great.
good. And so Sabrina and I had this conversation last week, and she's, was struggling a little bit about, gosh, what's going on in my business. And I said, look, everything I'm closing this month, I did in December. I met these people in December. People called on my listing and I converted them in December, and they're just now closing. I called that expired last, like October, November, closing on him again. I showed a house Christmas Eve, and he's just now closing this month. You have to know that. You have to hang in there. It snowballs over time, but these daily activities will pay off. If you don't have a week with 4 new client appointments, you ain't going to have any closings because you're not going to have any clients. So that's why these things are super important. So what are the activities to get these appointments? Like, how do I even do this? Where do I even start? What do I do? Okay, I've got an answer for that. You're going to either convert the leads that are coming in from those lead sources, and then you can follow our strict guideline that I created years ago because I felt like, one, agents are not going to be consistent in their daily activities because we're not engineered that way. So when people try to put us in a time block situation, we're going to rebel and say that we time blocked and never do a darn thing. So I created a point system. If you can fit in the productivity of 100 to 140 points per day, choosing different items that you want to do on a certain list, doesn't matter. You can change it up every single day. As long as you get 100 to 140 points and get those appointments, then you're going to have 6-figure weeks. And it's called My 6-Figure Day. Write down my6figureday.com. Pick up one of those sheets. It's free. Just download it. And it gives you daily activities for you to do that are dollar productive. Because we get wrapped up in doing stuff and thinking we're working by, scanning the MLS or going to an agent open house or, previewing some places. No. Some of those things are important, but no, that is not dollar productive. If you're not doing something that's going to generate an appointment, then you're not getting paid. So everything you do needs to do something that will cause someone to call you, or you have a reason to call someone else. And My 6-Figure Day has things on it like take breakfast to businesses. Every time I do that, I'll walk away with leads. The last time I did it, I walked away with a $300,000 referral and a $280,000 referral. And I should be doing it every single day. So if you take breakfast to businesses, you can meet more people at one time and get in front of them and be able to follow up with them and add them to your sphere of influence than you can by picking up the phone and asking for introductions or just asking people in the grocery store line. Just you wearing your name tag and asking this magic question 10 times a day, no matter where you go, and you got to go places. And I know with COVID, it can be a challenge right now, but we don't have that challenge so much right now where we are. But wearing your name tag and asking the magic question. Hey, oh my gosh, I noticed you were sitting over there. I don't know, do you live nearby? The real estate market is crazy. I don't know if you've heard, but I have so many buyers right now, and I have got to find them a place to live. We have got a shortage. We've looked at everything in MLS. I mean, what 3 people do you know that need to sell a house in the next 60 days? Okay. And the reason that's the magic question is because when you ask in 3s, then you're going to get at least an answer of 1. You're not going to get the typical response of, gee, I don't know, but if you'll give me your business card, I'll pass it along. When you ask in 3s, you're totally interrupting their thought pattern, and it stops people in their track, and they go, oh, wait a minute. All I can think is somebody said they were buying. Oh, what's their cell number? Right? Boo-hoo. And you only ask in one. There are lots of people that will teach you to say, do you know anybody who wants to invest, buy, or sell? Well, then you've totally overwhelmed somebody, and they're going to shut you down and go, nope, can't think of anybody. Everybody knows at least 4 to 5 people who want to make a move. Everybody. So we just have to ask the questions. Just if you got out and just asked those 10 questions every single day, then that alone will get you your appointments. But again, I don't want to shortchange you. Let's ramp it up. Let's do some more productivity so that we are making sure you get those 4 new client appointments every single week. And y'all, I've seen one of my agents who was a buyer agent, and he transferred, he said, I can't work another minute. And he was closing, around 60 transactions, and they were all buyers. And I said, okay, we're going to do some direct mail. We're going to take over a town. He was like, I've never sold anything in that town. And I'm like, I don't care. Let's do this. And he said, okay, let's do it. I've watched him. In 1 year, he transformed into the top listing agent of the city. He went as a challenge on 7 listing appointments in 1 day. 1 day. Okay. So I want you to know, if somebody else can do it, you can do it too, and you probably can do it better. So you just have to get your mind set around all of this. When you download My 6-Figure Day, and here it is, I've got all of these things listed out for you. Focus on those things, and they will make you money. Like Sabrina, she was like, okay, I'm on fire now. She had 2 closings this week, and she's on the calls while I'm using her as an example. And she said, that's it. I'm going to have a 6-figure day every stinking day. So she's been out knocking on for sale by owner doors. Guess what? She knocks on 2 doors, and she knows the people already. She didn't have to sell herself. The door comes open, and she's like, I didn't know it was you who lived here. And these are just beautiful blessings and gifts that can happen to you too. And she's out there having conversations now. I've got property flyers over here that I'm going to take out today to local businesses, and I'm going to take cookies with them. Yeah, do we get tired that title people have done that in our offices for years? But they do it because it works. And so it's going to work for you too. So all of those little things, and Facebook Lives are on there. Everybody can do a Facebook Live. Here's one that's on there that I think you're going to really like because it makes you feel good. And you can do it at 11 p.m. or you can do it at 5 a.m. in the morning, whatever your schedule is, because other people are not going to be up and about. And that is giving reviews to restaurants and small businesses in your community. Do it on Facebook, then do it on Google, do it on LinkedIn. Really give them great reviews, because you want your name associated. When you pull up Facebook, they'll show you all the reviews that you've given people. When you pull up some people and they've given nothing but horrible, disgusting, nasty reviews because they feel like, thank God I have a social platform that I can be disgusting on. Well, you don't want to work with those people. Okay. So when you go out there and you give these positive reviews of places that are selling your community, you are an ambassador of your community. So you need to know the best restaurants. You need to know who to call that when a person needs tires. You need to have all of these resources together. And then you need to be a supporter of all these resources. One of my agents in Tuscaloosa, who sells $40 million a year, right? You would think she knows how to do everything, and she is phenomenal. She took this idea, she put a Facebook review on a builder's page of how fantastic their homes are. She got a $700,000 listing that day, not a week later, not a month later, that day. So the things that I'm sharing with you, I have tested through all the agents that I've worked with and helped them transform, and it's on my 6-figure day. So are we rocking? Okay, I'm not even stopping. I don't even know where we are on time. So the next thing that we want to have is your buyer presentation and your seller presentation. I interviewed over 200 home sellers when I created a designation called the Certified Home Marketing Expert. And the reason I started that is sellers started calling me all the time when they realized that I was a coach and I was an advocate for real estate agents. And they would call me to complain or Facebook message me. Can you tell agents to do this better? And I'm like, instead of me getting defensive, I'd say, let me hear more about that. Let me hear why you feel that way. And then I would ask them, would you come in and do a video with me? And so that we could train the agents, because a lot of times what we think a seller wants is the exact opposite. And I was guilty of it too. I poo-pooed stuff about feedback. I'm like, you don't need it. They didn't make an offer. Move on. Don't worry about it. They will tear up and actually just get very emotional because they don't have the feedback. So I figured out, oh my gosh, we really need to address this issue. And I now teach my agents to put feedback forms inside the house. Now, we haven't been doing that during COVID because we didn't want people touching papers or pens, but the buyer itself can leave the actual feedback in the house so the seller can get immediately. And guess what? Turn the tables. I call the seller to say, what kind of feedback did we get today? Instead of the seller calling me or every 5 minutes trying to find out, and me having to call the agent 12 times for only them to hear, it's like, oh yeah, that one, yeah, it wasn't a fit, because they don't remember which house they showed. So one of the things I found out in these interviews is that sellers expect you to walk in their door, or if you do it at a house, some people like to do it at an off-site location, with a presentation. And the other thing that I found out is that even top producers go, oh, I don't use a presentation, I just have a conversation. And what happens is when you don't have a presentation, they automatically, they're still going to hire you. They've already lost a little bit of faith and trust in you from that moment, because the expectation is that they want you to have a game plan. They want you to have a process that you've put together. They want you to have a presentation to show them that value. Plus, if you don't show a presentation, they're not going to know what it is that you do to help them get their property sold. They're just going to be like, and again, you could still win it because you're charismatic, and they'll be like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And then they're like, oh, wait, did you, why aren't you doing an open house? Or, right? Because you didn't set all those expectations. Here's mine. This is my seller presentation. It looks like a magazine, and it's got all kinds of tips in it. And I go over all this with them. It's got the process in there. It's got the 4 reasons that homes don't sell. And guess what? They also requested, it's got a copy of everything that they'll put their signature on, so that they can read through it if I don't get the listing at that table, because a lot of times we send electronic signatures later. All sellers really want to leave behind, and agents don't want to leave anything behind, because they're like, oh my God, if I don't get the listing, somebody's going to have my materials, right? Leave it, because people, if they copy you, it's flattery, and you just get more creative and find a different value offering anyway. So don't worry about that piece. Make sure that you're making the seller happy. They want a leave behind so that they can remember the conversation, especially if they're interviewing people. Okay, so buyer presentation, seller presentation. You can get these, like, merge them in no time in the EXP Marketing Center and EXP Enterprise. So you don't have to overthink it. Just make sure that you merge a really good looking photo with a good resolution, because you want to always make sure that you have some professionalism. So how are we on time? I'm going to check it now. We're rocking. All right. So now we're going to get down to being inescapable and what that means. So for you to start out, people have to know that you're in the business. Okay, when people don't call you or refer you or use you, it's because they don't understand and know or associate that you're in the business, especially if you have another job. If they don't see that you're doing things in real estate every single day, then they're going to say, well, they have a job doing something else. We're going to go over here because we see them doing stuff every day. We either see their signs every day or we see activity. Every one of my clients, whenever they call me, they'll say, God, you are so busy. You have so much going on. Okay. Yes, I do. But I make sure to put that on social media every day. met with 2 sellers to discuss their house today, signed 3 contracts today, so excited and made an offer for these people today. It's not bragging, it's documenting your day and sharing what you're doing. Okay, what if you're doing nothing and you still need to make sure that you're sending that message out? Then you want your photo in front of neighborhood signs and talk about who buy, not who buys in there, but why people buy there. You want to talk about the value of the neighborhood, because when people are scrolling through on social media and they see their neighborhood sign with your face, they're going to go, oh, wow. And right. And they're going to want to know more information about it. So you can go and get stock photos and use those you can use them every week if you want, and put a different tip or information about the house, or talk about something that's sold, or how close it is to XYZ restaurants or the amenities. So put something out every single day about real estate, even if you are not face-to-face with your client. If you do, let's say you're scared to do a consultation, okay? Because I like to stay in reality. Some of you are like, okay, she said I have to have a consultation, but I just went and showed the house. Now what do I do, right? Talk about how you just showed a house. Talk about the features that you've had, that, and post it and put it out there so that people know that you really are working, because that people are going to be scared to refer you in your sphere of influence if they don't see you working. My husband, he's a home builder, and when people call him to ask him about subs, it actually makes him very nervous, because he knows if he gives the wrong referral, they call him back to complain about it. And you have to think about that trust factor that you're building. So being inescapable means being on social media, being in people's email boxes, being in people's text messages, asking just kind words, just even asking the magic question. And always bringing value. I want a home seller to say, oh my gosh, I have seen that girl's face everywhere. She is wearing me out. I guess I better call her. That is how you can end up being an expert in your community, in your market, and with social media today, you can do it like that. Mary Martin Brown, who is on the call right on the Zoom right now, she just posted something about how much she loves living in, and she and I live in the same city, a little bitty town outside of Birmingham. And she posted something on Facebook, I think, and put it on your story, right, Mary Martin Brown?
Yes.
And it was a video, and she got people reaching out to her, new clients. That's what I'm talking about. You've got to be inescapable. And she posted something on Instagram and sold a house from that. So social media gives you the opportunity to be an expert as long as you are bringing value every single day. Now, you don't want to constantly go, hey, who needs to sell? Hey, who needs to buy? Hey, who needs to sell? Hey, who needs to buy? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about showing that you are out there actually working with people, and people are choosing to work with you, right? So everybody else is like, oh, okay, I see, right? And so they're buying into that, and just seeing your value every single day. So inescapable is the word that I want you to write down and find a way in your style. Not everybody is flamboyant on social media and wants their face all over the place and is into videos. There are more people terrified of videos than public speaking. So, and I understand that. Find a way in your style to be inescapable, because then you could take, like, let's see, I just put out postcards a couple of weeks ago to certain neighborhoods. Now we're taking that exact same postcard and we created a Facebook ad with it. So there's continuity, and we're targeting that same zip code so people are seeing it. Whenever that postcard hit, I could put magnets on my car and ride through the neighborhoods. So they're pulling it out of the mailbox, seeing me drive by and go, oh yeah. And then I'm going to follow them like crazy on Facebook stuff and do target 1 and target 2 ads so that they are in my world. Now they're in my, on my website, and they're getting automated messages, and they're getting value from emails that I send out. So you see how it works. It all has to come together in a big picture. for it to really turn into this business, the six-figure business that you want, this foundation. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is every single time you have someone sign a buyer agency or sign a listing agreement, this is your opportunity to turn one transaction into three. Make it easier on yourself by asking for the referral. And this is how you do it. You'll say, Sabrina, you are just so awesome to work with. I am so excited that we are going to be able to go and find you that next house. I am just grateful. Now, some reason you got excited about looking for a house, either someone at work or a family member, somebody's got you excited. I know it. So what three people do you know that also need to buy a house in the next 60 days? And then let her share who that is. I've had people give me 5 names at one time. I've had people give me 2. I've had people, say, can't think of anybody. But when you ask that and then you ask it again, make sure that client is always treated well first. It's never about you. It's always about your client. So after you get the contract signed and you're kind of celebrating with that, because that's another little high for them, then you can say, I'm just so happy, Sabrina, we got this for you. Oh my God, girl, it is not over yet. We're going to have so many bumps in the road and it's going to be aggravating and you're going to be so frustrated. You're going to be happy to be done with me by the time it's done. But I'm happy for you in this moment that we're getting you the house that you want. You've been talking out to people, I am sure, about the process that you've been going through and what we've been going through together. I know that you must have had lots of conversations with people about buying a house. What 3 people have you talked to lately that also need to buy a house in the next 60 days? Okay, so that's when you ask the second time. And the third time is not at closing. Okay, don't make that closing about you. Sure, you can ask for a photo and stuff like that, but that closing is their celebration and not your chance to jump on them and ask for testimonials. You should have already asked for the testimonial up front. Okay, I forget this because I get wrapped up in the conversation, but we do have a process where Erica, my assistant, will ask for that up front, and it's better to get it up front before the appraisal goes bad, before the home inspection issues happen, before people back out, because they're going to associate all that negativity with you that you can't control. So if you ask at closing, they might not even be talking to you at this point. And y'all, that's reality. I'm just telling you, things happen and come up beyond your control that will cause people to have issues. So when you ask for those referrals and testimonials up front, you're going to have a better experience. Then, okay, after they move in, when you call to check on them, is a great time to ask the third time, and you can end up turning one transaction into 3 with that. And for instance, I've got one that I closed on last month, and they closing another one this Friday because she called and said, would you help my dad buy in the neighborhood? That's how it works. And if you don't ask for it, then they're going to think you're not interested in working for them or that you're too busy for them. So you have to ask. I think that there was on We're Built for This, that book that just came out about asking. Oh my God, go back and look at it. And John can probably give you better details about that, but it was really good. I can't wait to read that book because asking and having the right to ask differentiates a lot of the successful people. And there's a way to ask it. Sometimes people can ask something and I'll be like, makes me feel very uncomfortable. So that's why I've given you the full scenario of like how I set things up, because I want people to feel very comfortable in a trusting, warm nature, and that it feel very natural and me not just go, hey, who you got? So, all right. This is a huge issue. And I wanted you to be able to see the slide. Zach put this in here for me because I think it really means a lot to him. And when you get discouraged and you can't see that there is going to be that 6-figure outcome on the other end, then a lot of people will quit. They'll give up. You cannot give up. You cannot let people beat you. You cannot let the market beat you, because I have seen greater incomes during the downturn in 08 and 09, and I saw creative things come out of that. And I see people lose everything they had and agents having to turn their houses in and their cars in? Yeah, I did see that. And I don't want to see that for anyone else. But I also saw brand new agents making so much money in 08 and 09. So people are always going to be buying houses no matter what. People are always going to be selling houses no matter what. People are going to be getting married and having babies, and they need a place to live no matter what happens to the economy. So no matter what happens in your business, don't give up. Just figure out what you did wrong. And probably in most cases, you didn't do anything wrong. You just haven't done enough of what you need to do to make those 4 new client appointments per week. Okay, the last thing I want to say is we get into habits sometimes. You know, we're praying and we just want these clients, and Sabrina knows this. I've complained, I'll wait to her. And then when we get them, we complain the whole time about, you know, who they are, the decisions they're making, the anxiety that they're having. And sometimes it's just us venting, but don't vent to other clients. If you need to vent to another agent, that's totally fine. But always be grateful and thankful that they chose you. That old cliche is, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. Well, everybody gets their license because they think it's freaking easy, and it's not. It is a hard job. Very hard job. You work so many hours that you will never see a dime for. And you just have to know that going into it up front. But be grateful that you've got the person who chose you and is uncertain about their price and uncertain about, you know, your description and criticizing your photos. And that's what you wanted. You prayed for that. And you're getting it. So it's your job, because we're actually in the people business, right? And making them happy. And the real estate side will end up working itself out. The last thing I want to say to you is go and learn your contracts inside and out, because this will hurt you in the long run if you don't know how to write a proper offer. Use your mentor, burn them up. Last night I cooked dinner helping people the whole time I was cooking dinner. I helped several contracts get written and several things get worked out. And you have resources around you that will help you do that. Just make sure that you learn it so that you don't get into bad habits, and 5 or 10 years down the road, you've been doing it wrong all this time, because it could happen. So I hope that you have a fantastic day and that you've gotten a ton out of our time together. I told you I'm a meat and potatoes girl, even though I like to eat dessert first. Go out and get your rewards, follow my 6-figure day, and hit that goal. Do what it takes, whatever it takes. There you go. All right. To be a 6-figure rookie. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. My name is Genny Williams. It's Genny Williams. You can Get a Real Estate Life on Facebook, and I'm always happy to answer any questions or help you any way that I can. Tony, thank you.
Genny, you've been wonderful. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you sharing, and this was meat and potatoes all the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to give back anytime.